Most people think hair loss during stress is just in your head, but what if I told you the real problem is happening in your gut and it's controlled by a single nerve that almost nobody talks about? I'm talking about the vagus nerve. If this nerve isn't working properly, your body stays stuck in stress mode, your digestion slows down, nutrient absorption drops, and your hair follicles literally stop getting what they need to grow. That's when you start noticing more hair in your comb, on your pillow, or in the shower. Here's the connection most people miss. Your body has two main modes, stress mode and healing mode. Stress mode is controlled by the sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight or flight response. Healing mode is controlled by the parasympathetic nervous system, and the vagus nerve is the main player here. When your vagus nerve is strong and active, your body shifts into repair mode. Digestion improves, inflammation drops, hormones stabilize, and your hair get the signal that it's safe to grow again. But when the vagus nerve is weak or underactive, your body stays stuck in survival mode. Blood flow is diverted away from your scalp and digestive system. Stomach acid decreases, enzymes drop, nutrients like zinc, iron, biotin, and protein don't get properly absorbed. Over time, this creates the perfect environment for stress-induced hair shedding. This is why some people eat well but still lose hair. It's not just about what you eat, it's about how well your body processes it. Now, let's go deeper. The vagus nerve directly connects your brain to your gut. It controls stomach acid, bile release, and intestinal movement. If this communication line is weak, digestion becomes sluggish. Food sits longer in the stomach, fermentation increases, and you may experience bloating, heaviness, or acid reflux. But here's the hidden effect. Poor digestion means poor nutrient delivery to your hair follicles. Hair is not essential for survival, so your body prioritizes other organs first. The hair follicles are the first to suffer when resources are low. On top of that, chronic stress increases cortisol. High cortisol pushes hair follicles into the resting phase prematurely. This is called telogen effluvium, where hair suddenly sheds after stress. Now, combine high cortisol with poor nutrient absorption, and you have a double hit. So the real question is, how do you activate the vagus nerve? One of the simplest ways is through deep, slow breathing. When you breathe slowly, especially extending your exhale, you stimulate the vagus nerve. This sends a signal to your body that it's safe, reducing stress hormones and improving digestion. Another powerful method is cold exposure. Splashing cold water on your face or taking a short cold shower activates the vagus nerve and improves its tone over time. Gargling and humming are surprisingly effective too. The vagus nerve runs through your throat, so these actions stimulate it directly. Even singing can help. There's also something very important: chewing your food properly. Digestion starts in the mouth. When you slow down and chew thoroughly, you activate the parasympathetic system, which enhances vagus nerve activity and prepares your stomach to release acid and enzyme. Posture matters as well. Slouching compresses the vagus nerve pathway. Sitting upright, especially after meals, supports better nerve signaling and digestion. And then there's stress management. Chronic mental stress weakens vagal tone over time. Even simple practices like walking, getting sunlight, or disconnecting from constant stimulation can help reset your nervous system. Now, here's what happens when you improve vagus nerve function. Your digestion becomes stronger, nutrient absorption improves, cortisol levels stabilize, blood flow returns to the scalp, hair follicles shift back into the growth phase, and slowly shedding begins to reduce. This is why focusing only on shampoos or supplements doesn't always work. If the nervous system is out of balance, the foundation is weak. When you support the vagus nerve, you're fixing the root cause. Even experts like Eric Berg often emphasize that the body works as a system, not isolated parts. Your gut, brain, and hair are all connected, and the vagus nerve is the bridge. So if you're dealing with stress-related hair loss, don't just look at your scalp. Look at your nervous system. Improve your digestive tone. Activate your vagus nerve, because once your body feels safe again, it starts repairing, and that includes your hair. The vagus nerve is one of the most important yet overlooked regulators of your body's internal balance, especially when it comes to the shift between stress mode and healing mode. Most people don't realize that their body is constantly switching between these two states throughout the day, and this shift determines whether your body is breaking down or repairing itself. The vagus nerve, the main pathway that controls this switch, acting like a communication highway between your brain and your organs, especially your digestive system. When this nerve is functioning properly, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for rest, digestion, and recovery. This is the state where your body can repair tissues, absorb nutrients efficiently, regulate hormones, and support healthy hair growth. When you are under stress, your body shifts into what is known as the sympathetic state or fight or flight mode. This response is designed for survival, not long-term health. In this state, your body prioritizes immediate energy and alertness over everything else. Blood flow is redirected away from non-essential systems like digestion and hair growth and sent toward muscles and vital organs needed for quick action. Your heart rate increases, your breathing becomes shallow, and your digestive processes slow down significantly. When this stress response becomes chronic, it starts to create serious imbalances in the body. The vagus nerve plays the key role in bringing your body back out of this stress state and into a healing state. When it is activated, it sends signals that reduce heart rate, deepen breathing, and stimulate digestive function. It increases stomach acid production, enhances enzyme release, and improves movement in the intestines, allowing food to be properly broken down and absorbed production. This is crucial because your body depends on nutrients like amino acids, vitamins, and minerals to maintain hair follicle health. The strength and responsiveness of the vagus nerve is often referred to as vagal tone. A strong vagal tone means your body can efficiently switch out of stress mode and into recovery mode, even when there is no immediate danger. This prolonged stress state keeps cortisol levels elevated, which has a direct impact on hair follicles. High cortisol can push hair follicles into a resting phase prematurely, reducing growth and increasing shedding. At the same time, poor vagal tone affects digestion in a way that is not always obvious at first. You may still feel hungry and eat regularly, but your body may not be breaking down food effectively. Low stomach acid is a common issue when the vagus nerve is underactive. This means proteins are not fully digested into amino acids, minerals like zinc and iron are not properly absorbed, and vitamins such as B complex and biotin are not utilized efficiently. These nutrients are essential for maintaining the structure and growth cycle of hair. Without them, hair becomes weaker, thinner, and more prone to shedding. Another important aspect is how the vagus nerve influences inflammation in the body. When functioning well, it helps regulate the immune system and keep inflammation under control. Chronic stress and poor vagal tone can lead to increased inflammatory signals, which can affect the scalp environment and disrupt the normal hair growth cycle. Inflammation around the hair follicle can restrict blood flow and nutrient delivery, further contributing to hair thinning. The connection between the vagus nerve and digestion is also tied to the gut-brain axis, which is the communication system between your digestive system and your brain. The vagus nerve is the primary channel of this communication. When this pathway is functioning properly, your brain receives signals that your body is nourished and safe, allowing it to maintain a balanced hormonal environment. When the signaling is turned or disrupted, the brain interprets this as a stress condition, even if there is no external threat, and continues to keep the body in a defensive state. Hair follicles are extremely sensitive to these internal signals. They are not essential for immediate survival, so when the body senses stress or nutrient deficiency, it diverts resources away from hair production. This is why stress-related hair loss often appears suddenly and can be quite noticeable. It is not just about external stressors, but also about how your internal systems are responding to them. Breathing patterns are another way the vagus nerve influences this shift between stress and healing. Rapid, shallow breathing reinforces the stress response, while slow, deep breathing activates the vagus nerve and promotes relaxation. This change in breathing can quickly alter your nervous system state, improving digestion and reducing cortisol levels. Over time, consistent activation of the vagus nerve through proper breathing can strengthen its tone and make it easier for your body to return to a balanced state. Posture also plays a subtle but important role. The vagus nerve travels from the brainstem down through the neck and into the chest and abdomen. Poor posture, slouching, can create tension and compression along this pathway, potentially negatively affecting its function. Maintaining an upright posture allows for better nerve signaling and supports optimal communication between the brain and digestive organs. The timing and manner of eating can further influence vagus nerve activity. Eating in a relaxed state, chewing food thoroughly, and avoiding distractions during meals all help activate the parasympathetic system. This prepares the digestive tract to receive and process food efficiently. On the other hand, eating quickly while stressed or in a distracted environment can impair vagus nerve signaling and reduce digestive efficiency. Sleep is another critical factor connected to vagal tone. During deep sleep, the parasympathetic system becomes more active, allowing the body to repair and regenerate. Poor sleep quality or insufficient sleep can weaken vagal tone over time, keeping the body in a semi-stressed state and interfering with digestion and nutrient absorption. This creates a cycle where stress affects sleep, poor sleep weakens the vagus nerve, and a weak vagus nerve further disrupts the body's ability to recover. Even emotional states have a direct influence on the vagus nerve. Feelings of safety, calmness, and connection can enhance vagal activity, while anxiety, fear, and chronic worry suppress it. This means your mental environment is just as important as your physical habits when it comes to maintaining a healthy nervous system and supporting hair growth. When the vagus nerve is functioning well, everything begins to align. Digestion becomes more efficient, allowing for better absorption of key nutrients. Hormones stabilize, reducing the negative impact of chronic stress. Blood flow improves, delivering oxygen and nutrients to the scalp. The hair follicles receive the signals and resources they need to remain in the growth phase longer. This creates an internal environment where hair can grow stronger and shedding. Minimize the body is designed to heal and regenerate, but it requires the right signals to do so. The vagus nerve is one of the main channels through which these signals are delivered, influencing not just digestion and stress levels, but the overall balance of your entire system. Poor vagal tone creates a chain reaction in the body that most people never connect to hair loss. When the vagus nerve is not functioning efficiently, your body struggles to switch out of stress mode and into recovery mode. This means you stay in a low-grade fight or flight state for much longer than you should, even during times when you are resting or eating. This chronic stress state affects multiple systems at once, and one of the first areas to suffer is digestion. Digestion is not just about eating food, it is about how effectively your body breaks that food down and absorbs the nutrients from it. When vagal tone is weak, these processes slow down. Your stomach may not produce enough acid to properly break down protein, which is essential for providing amino acids needed for hair structure. Enzyme production in the pancreas can also decrease, making it harder to digest fats and carbohydrates. This leads to incomplete digestion, where food particles are not fully broken down into usable nutrients. As a result, even if you are eating a balanced diet, your body may not be absorbing enough of the key nutrients required for hair growth. Minerals like iron and zinc, vitamins like B-complex and biotin, and essential amino acids all depend on proper digestion and absorption. Without sufficient levels of these nutrients reaching the bloodstream, the hair follicles begin to weaken. Hair strands may become thinner, more brittle, and more prone to falling out. At the same time, poor vagal tone keeps your stress hormone levels elevated. Cortisol, the primary stress hormone, is meant to rise briefly in response to danger and then return to normal levels. However, when the vagus nerve is not effectively calming the nervous system, cortisol remains high for extended periods. This has a direct impact on the hair growth cycle. Hair follicles naturally go through phases of growth, rest, and shedding. High cortisol can prematurely push hair follicles from the growth phase into the resting phase, leading to increased shedding over time. This condition is often referred to as stress-induced hair loss, and it can happen weeks or even months after a stressful event. The delay makes it harder for people to identify the root cause. What they see is sudden hair shedding, but what they do not see is the ongoing imbalance in their nervous system and digestion that has been building up beneath the surface. Another factor that comes into play is blood circulation. In a chronic stress state, your body prioritizes blood flow to vital organs like the heart and muscle, circulation to areas considered less essential, such as the scalp, Reduced blood flow means fewer nutrients and less oxygen are delivered to the hair follicles. Over time, this weakens the follicles and contributes to slower growth and increased shedding. Poor vagal tone can also influence the balance of bacteria in your gut. The vagus nerve helps regulate communication between the brain and the gut microbiome. When this communication is disrupted, it can lead to imbalances in gut bacteria, sometimes referred to as dysbiosis. This imbalance can further impair digestion and increase inflammation within the body. Inflammation, even at low levels, can interfere with normal hair follicle function and disrupt the growth cycle. Inflammation is not always obvious. It does not have to be severe or painful to have an effect. Chronic, low-grade inflammation can silently affect tissues over time, including the scalp. This creates an environment where hair follicles are less stable and more likely to enter the shedding phase. Combined with nutrient deficiencies and high cortisol, this creates a perfect storm for ongoing hair loss. Another overlooked issue is how poor vagal tone affects stomach acid levels. Low stomach acid, also known as hypochlorhydria, is common in individuals with chronic stress. Without enough stomach acid, the body cannot effectively break down proteins or absorb minerals like iron and calcium. Iron deficiency in particular is strongly linked to hair loss. Even if blood tests show borderline levels, the body may still not be delivering enough iron to the hair follicles due to poor absorption. Protein digestion is equally important. Hair is primarily made of a protein called keratin, which requires a steady supply of amino acids. If protein digestion is compromised, the body does not have the building blocks needed to maintain strong, healthy hair strands. This can lead to increased breakage as well as shedding. Energy production within the body is affected. When nutrients are not properly absorbed, your cells do not produce energy efficiently. Hair follicles are highly active and require a significant amount of energy to remain in the growth phase. A lack of cellular energy can cause follicles to slow down their activity and shift into the resting phase more quickly. Sleep disturbances are another consequence of poor vagal tone. The vagus nerve plays a role in promoting relaxation and supporting deep, restorative sleep. When it is underactive, it becomes harder to achieve quality sleep. Poor sleep further increases cortisol levels and reduces the body's ability to repair and regenerate. This creates a cycle where stress disrupts sleep, poor sleep weakens the nervous system, and the weakened nervous system continues to impair digestion and hair health. Emotional stress compounds the issue. Persistent worry, anxiety, or mental overload can continuously activate the stress response. Without a strong vagal tone to counter this, the body remains in a heightened state of alertness. This ongoing stress not only affects hormones, but also reinforces poor digestion and nutrient absorption. Over time, the cumulative effect becomes visible through changes in hair density and quality. The body operates on prioritization. When resources are limited due to poor absorption and high stress, it directs those resources toward essential organs needed for survival. Hair growth is considered non-essential, so it receives fewer nutrients and less support. This is why hair shedding often becomes noticeable during periods of prolonged stress or poor health. Even subtle digestive symptoms can indicate underlying issues with vagal tone. Feelings of bloating, heaviness after meals, irregular bowel movements, or a lack of appetite can all be signs that the digestive system is not functioning optimally. These symptoms are often dismissed or treated in isolation, but they are part of a larger pattern involving the nervous system. Over time, the combination of weak digestion, high cortisol, reduced blood flow, inflammation, and nutrient deficiencies creates a sustained environment that promotes hair shedding. The longer this imbalance continues, the more difficult it becomes for hair follicles to return to their normal growth cycle. Addressing only one aspect, such as taking supplements or using topical treatments, may not be enough if the underlying issue with vagal tone is not improved. Strengthening the vagus nerve helps reverse many of these effects by restoring the body's ability to shift into a relaxed, healing state. As digestion improves, nutrient absorption increases, cortisol levels begin to stabilize, and blood flow returns to the scalp. This allows hair follicles to receive the support they need to remain in the growth phase longer and reduce excessive shedding. Activating the vagus nerve does not require complicated routines or expensive treatments, but it does require consistency and an Understanding of how simple actions can influence your nervous system. The body is constantly responding to signals from your environment and your behavior, and many of these signals directly affect vagal tone. When you use specific techniques that stimulate the vagus nerve, you begin to shift your body out of a stress-dominant state and into a condition where healing, digestion, and repair can take place more efficiently. One of the most effective ways to stimulate the vagus nerve is through controlled breathing. The way you breathe has a direct impact on your nervous system. When breathing is shallow and rapid, it reinforces the stress response and keeps the body in a heightened state of alertness. On the other hand, slow and deep breathing activates the parasympathetic system. Extending the exhale phase is particularly powerful because it signals the brain that the body is safe. This reduces heart rate, lowers cortisol, and improves communication between the brain and digestive organs. Over time, practicing this type of breathing regularly can strengthen vagal tone and make it easier for the body to return to a calm state even after stress. Cold exposure is another simple but powerful method. When you expose your body to cold water, especially on the face or neck, it triggers a reflex that activates the vagus nerve. This response helps slow the heart rate and encourages the body to shift into a more relaxed state after the initial shock. Short bursts of cold exposure, such as splashing cold water on your face or ending a shower with cold water, can gradually improve vagal tone. The key is consistency rather than intensity, allowing the body to adapt over time without creating excessive stress. Gargling and humming are surprisingly effective techniques because they directly stimulate areas connected to the vagus nerve. The nerve passes through the throat, and activities that engage the muscles in this region can activate it. Gargling water for a few minutes or humming with a steady vibration creates a mechanical stimulation that enhances vagal activity. Singing can have a similar effect, combining controlled breathing with vocal vibration. These actions may seem simple, but they can have a meaningful impact when practiced regularly. Chewing food thoroughly is another important habit that is often overlooked. Digestion begins in the mouth, and the act of chewing sends signals to the brain that food is being prepared for digestion. This activates the parasympathetic system and primes the stomach to release acid and enzymes. When food is swallowed too quickly, this signaling process is incomplete, and digestion becomes less efficient. Taking the time to chew slowly and eat in a relaxed environment supports vagus nerve activation and improves nutrient absorption, which is essential for maintaining healthy hair growth. Posture also influences vagal tone in subtle but important ways. The vagus nerve travels from the brainstem through the neck and into the chest and abdomen. Poor posture, such as slouching or hunching forward, can create tension along this pathway and interfere with optimal signaling. Sitting upright and maintaining proper alignment, especially during and after meals, allows for better communication between the brain and digestive system. This can enhance digestion and reduce the likelihood of issues like bloating or discomfort. Physical movement plays a role as well. Gentle activities like walking can stimulate the parasympathetic system and improve circulation without triggering a strong stress response. Walking outdoors, particularly in natural light, provides additional benefits by helping regulate your internal clock and reducing stress levels. Unlike intense exercise, which can sometimes increase cortisol if overdone, moderate movement supports relaxation and recovery, contributing to better vagal tone over time. Another key factor is managing sensory overload. Constant exposure to noise, screens, and mental stimulation keeps the nervous system in a state of alertness. Creating periods of quiet and reducing unnecessary input allows the vagus nerve to become more active. Simple practices like stepping away from devices, spending time in a calm environment can help reduce stress and anxiety, or focusing on a single task can help reset the nervous system and promote a more balanced state. Hydration and electrolyte balance also support nerve function. The vagus nerve relies on proper electrical signaling, which depends on adequate levels of minerals like sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Dehydration or imbalances in these electrolytes can impair nerve communication and reduce overall vagal tone. Drinking enough water and maintaining a balanced intake of essential minerals supports the body's ability to respond to vagal stimulation techniques effectively. Social connection has a measurable impact on the vagus nerve as well. Positive interactions, feelings of trust, and a sense of safety can enhance vagal activity. Part of the body's natural design where connection and communication signal that the environment is safe, allowing the nervous system to relax. Even brief moments of genuine interaction can contribute to improved vagal tone, while isolation and chronic stress can have the opposite of vortices. The vagus nerve responds to repeated stimulation over time, gradually becoming stronger and more responsive. This is similar to how muscles adapt to regular exercise. Occasional efforts may provide temporary relief, but lasting improvements come from integrating these habits into daily life. Small, consistent actions build a foundation for better nervous system regulation. As vagal tone improves, the effects become noticeable throughout the body. Digestion becomes more efficient, reducing issues like bloating and discomfort. Nutrient absorption improves, ensuring that essential vitamins and minerals reach the tissues that need. Cortisol levels begin to stabilize, reducing the negative impact of chronic stress on the body. Circulation improves, allowing more oxygen and nutrients to reach the scalp and support hair follicles. Hair growth is closely tied to these internal conditions. When the body is in a relaxed, well-nourished state, hair follicles are more likely to remain in the growth phase for longer periods. This reduces excessive shedding and allows for stronger, thicker hair over time. The improvement is gradual and reflects the overall balance of the body rather than a quick fix. Sleep quality often improves alongside vagal tone. As the nervous system becomes more balanced, it becomes easier to fall asleep and stay asleep. Deep, restorative sleep further enhances the body's ability to repair and regenerate, creating a positive cycle where better sleep supports better vagal function and improved vagal function supports better sleep. Emotional resilience also increases. Body can recover more quickly from stress and return to a calm state. This reduces the overall burden of stress on the body and prevents the prolonged activation of the stress response that contributes to hair shedding. The ability to adapt to stress without remaining stuck in it is a key factor in maintaining long-term health. These simple techniques work together to create a supportive environment for the body. Each action reinforces the others, gradually shifting the balance away from chronic stress and toward recovery and repair. The result is a system that functions more efficiently with improved digestion, stable hormones, and better support for hair growth without relying on extreme measures or complicated